morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and today another detailed forecast update coming your way for the 6th of November 2024. We're going to be talking about another severe thunderstorm outbreak expected across the southeast of Queensland this Friday and into this weekend. A rainfall event which will bring some heavy rainfall to isolated pockets of northern New South Wales and into the southeast of Queensland as well. We'll take a look at that next week. We're also going to be talking about the temperature forecast across central Australia. It's really warm over there at this time, and we'll give a tropical weather update as well. So all of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The support lately has been much appreciated. Now into the southeast of Queensland, where you can see from yesterday, just replaying through the radar system from yesterday, you can see some very large thunderstorms did blow through the southeast of Queensland once again. So let's zoom in on those right now. Same story like last week. We had that powerful supercell thunderstorm fire up into the northeast of New South Wales and then traverse across the border of Queensland and New South Wales up towards Boonah and Beaudesert. In fact, it followed pretty much the exact same path. We've had two very powerful supercell thunderstorms move through this area here, being circled out with the cursor, moving into the Logan City area and then crossing the Brisbane River and dumping some heavy rainfall into the southern suburbs of Brisbane. Now, the rainfall accumulations weren't as bad with this severe thunderstorm. Some personal weather stations did pick up towards 60 millimetres. The Bureau of Meteorology's weather stations picked up between 10 and 30 millimetres for the most part, with a few stations picking up slightly more. But the peak rainfall rates in this severe thunderstorm, which had giant hailstones in it as well, were up to 200 millimetres an hour. Very wet indeed. This thunderstorm did pack a big punch indeed, and it was very lucky that it was actually moving through quite rapidly. A lot of thunderstorms as well further over the ranges outside of Brisbane out towards Toowoomba, and then further north up towards Crow's Nest and Kingaroy, some thunderstorms up there. So all in all, it was a pretty beefy severe thunderstorm outbreak across the southeast of Queensland. It packed a little bit more punch than what we did expect with the forecast. Again, that seems to be the story with these severe thunderstorm outbreaks this year. These thunderstorms certainly did pack quite a punch. We've got some more coming through on Friday, so let's take a look at those right now. Throughout the course of today, those hot temperatures, which you're definitely feeling if you live further inland out towards Charleville and Windora, the temperatures already up into the high 30s to early 40s there. A couple of thunderstorms are possible to fire up outside the Injune area and then closer to the coastal ranges outside of Toowoomba and Kingaroy. A few thunderstorms possible there, but nothing crazy is expected. It's also a similar story tomorrow, where we will see a couple of showers and storms fire up here and there, and a little bit of reprieve to the temperatures that we're seeing today. I'll touch on that a little bit later on in the forecast though, but again, nothing crazy expected. No severe thunderstorms until Friday afternoon, when we will see an outbreak extending up from New South Wales into the southeast of Queensland, bringing potentially severe thunderstorms to the Brisbane metro area, up the Sunshine Coast up towards Maroochydore, Noosa, Coolum, those areas, and then severe thunderstorms as well possible inland towards Toowoomba and Kingaroy. So just in this little pocket of southeastern Queensland, we will see yet another outbreak of potentially severe thunderstorms on Friday afternoon and evening. Now, on this forecast here, they don't really look like they pack a punch, but there will be plenty of energy for these thunderstorms to make the most of. You can see temperatures going to be rising right out of the gate on Friday, expected to hit a maximum of 33 degrees by midday for Brisbane before those thunderstorms come through and cool things down, and temperatures up into the high 30s and early 40s as you get further inland. So it's going to be a warm one. There's going to be a lot of instability, and the conditions overall look pretty good for these thunderstorms to fire up in. The Axis G3 forecast, which is what I like to use to kind of see what severe thunderstorms are on the forecast, you can see they really haven't gone to town with this thunderstorm outbreak here. We are still expecting some beefy thunderstorms, but the Axis G3 hasn't quite picked up on them, which does lead me to believe that these thunderstorms, or at least the chance of some really nasty severe ones, isn't necessarily the highest at this time. But again, we will wait and see with this forecast here. A lot can change, and the Axis G3 can be at times a very unreliable forecast model, so we will wait and see what is actually expected here. But yeah, like I said, temperatures looking very good for this severe thunderstorm outbreak. Same deal with humidity values as well, just with that onshore flow with those warm moist airs coming in from the north and the northeast off the southern extremities of the Coral Sea and the Pacific Ocean. Those will bring those warm moist airs ashore into the southeast of Queensland, and colliding with that warm dry air and the cool dry air coming in from the south and from the west, we will see a beautiful setup for these thunderstorms here on Friday afternoon. We've also got a lot of energy in the atmosphere, and when I say a lot, in fact, these are some of the highest convective available potential energy values that I've seen all summer so far. A lot of red areas. These thunderstorms have a lot of instability in the atmosphere for them to make the most of, and we're seeing some of these numbers here up towards 3,000 joules per kilogram of available air for these thunderstorms. Once again, an arbitrary number for for the average viewer, but again, this just goes to show that there is some massive energy values for these thunderstorms to make the most of, right throughout the Brisbane metro area into the southeast of Queensland and then further up the Sunshine Coast. Now, I don't want to say that I'm fear-mongering at this time. I don't want anyone to feel panicked about these thunderstorms, because right now there is nothing to be panicking about. We are expecting stock standard severe thunderstorms, typical weather for this time of the year across the southeast of Queensland. But just take a look at this setup here. We do definitely have some very good conditions for thunderstorms, which means we will likely see some powerful ones fire up across the southeast of Queensland. And I want everyone to keep that in the back of their heads if you do live in the southeast of Queensland. It's certainly worth thinking about at this time that Friday we will see some powerful severe thunderstorms blow through. Once again, take it very easy on the roads for that evening commute. Maybe get home a little bit early so you're inside and away from these thunderstorms, particularly if you do live in the southern suburbs. Batten down the outdoor furniture. If we do get powerful supercell storms, we will have damaging winds, destructive winds as well flying around. Large hailstones also look possible, so get the car inside, or not inside, into a garage or something similar. Just make sure that you are taking the necessary precautions to mitigate the risks and the damages of these severe thunderstorms. But again, there is no need to panic. Peak rainfall accumulation is always something that's very hard to predict with these thunderstorms here. I've just spoiled the second half of the video, but you can see peak rainfall accumulations on the forecast aren't going to be anything crazy. But if I was to put a number on stuff, locations under the wettest of thunderstorms could get up towards 70 or 80 millimeters. Again, we'll talk more about that on Friday in terms of what exactly we're expecting for some of these locations. But at this time, some heavy rainfall, damaging and locally destructive winds, large to giant hailstones do look possible with these severe thunderstorms. Any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comment section down below, and I'd be more than happy to get back to as many people as I can. Certainly something worth keeping in the back of your head at this time, and these thunderstorms we will keep talking about in great detail in tomorrow's forecast update and also on Friday. So if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. You get up-to-date notifications on all of these thunderstorms, and you'll get the latest weather news happening around Australia as it unfolds. So now I want to talk about the rainfall event that's expected to unfold across the southeast of Queensland and into the northeast of New South Wales, starting from Sunday and persisting through Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. We do have some heavy falls now on the forecast for some locations across the southeast of Queensland. So starting from Saturday evening, we will see a couple of thunderstorms here and there. Sunday, we will likely see a thunderstorm outbreak across southeastern and south central parts of Queensland, and even further up into central parts of Queensland. We could see a couple of thunderstorms fire up, but they will be few and far between, and for the most part non-severe. Monday, we will see those thunderstorms return, and along a big line that's expected to stretch across interior parts of Queensland out towards about Longreach, connecting to a low pressure system over the central rivers area north of Birdsville and south of Mount Isa. Now, this complex low pressure system is going to give way to a rainfall event that's expected to slowly unfold Monday afternoon and Tuesday morning across the northeast of New South Wales and into the southeast of Queensland. In fact, we're expecting a widespread outbreak of thunderstorms to materialise on Tuesday, and they will upscale quite quickly and become some heavy rainmakers, especially into the southeast of Queensland and the northeast of New South Wales. Now, I am still just a little bit confused at this weather forecast here. It just seems a little bit too big and widespread to be a thunderstorm outbreak or to be determined as a thunderstorm outbreak at this time. So I'm still inclined to say that there's going to be just a big swathe of cloud cover across the southeast of Queensland, extending into the northeast of New South Wales, and as such, that's just going to provide the heavy rainfall that we're going to be seeing over a very widespread area, all things considered. But I do still reckon some of these embedded thunderstorms, especially around the Warwick, Stanthorpe, Toowoomba, and then up towards the Brisbane area, will have some isolated pockets of heavy rainfall, and as such will bring those heavy falls to the locations that I'm circling right now with the cursor. So certainly something worth watching at this time. But yeah, this does behave quite a lot like a thunderstorm event, more so than a rainfall event at this time. So I'm still scratching my head on exactly what to call this system at this time. It is confusing me just a little bit, but rainfall nonetheless is going to be very widespread. I'll take a look at this in a closer dive in tomorrow's forecast update as well, and I'll have some answers just in regards to what this system can be compared to, but at this time it does look like it's going to spread a lot of moderate to heavy rainfall across the southeast of Queensland, particularly from Monday night and especially into Tuesday night, into early Wednesday morning, when it will begin to ease off. But yeah, in terms of peak rainfall accumulations, they're going to be elevated from Sunday right through to Wednesday morning, just over this 48-hour period, or just above that 48-hour period. You can see outside of Brisbane, rainfall accumulations up towards 80 or 90 millimetres. Maroochydore expecting a healthy 50 millimetres, Brisbane expecting between 40 and 50 millimetres, the Gold Coast between 20 and 40 millimetres, and again, I think these are very accurate and reliable numbers at this time. I reckon the rainfall, especially into the southeastern corner of Queensland, is going to play out pretty much exactly as this forecast is suggesting. I see no reason to doubt what the ECMWF has to say at this time. And then further south, down towards Armidale and Tamworth into the northeast of New South Wales, accumulations between 20 and 70 millimetres look possible, most likely Tuesday morning. Some good accumulations also out into the central parts of Queensland, out towards Taroom and Injune, and then up towards Rolleston as well. You can see some falls between 20 and 30 millimetres expected out there. And the rainfall not stopping further inland out towards Tambo and even out towards Longreach and Jericho as well. Some rainfall accumulations up towards 30 millimetres look possible out there. But the further you get inland, the further you get out towards some of these more remote locations in central Queensland, we're going to be talking about less and less rainfall, and it's going to be much more hit and miss out there. Some locations will pick up some good falls, but for the most part, a lot of places will miss out. And then up into the Capricorn district as well, and along the central Queensland coastline north of the Sunshine Coast, Bundaberg could see up towards 15 millimetres as well. Again, it's going to be pretty hit and miss for Bundaberg, but it will be very hit and miss for Agnes Water, Gladstone and Rockhampton. Those locations could see up towards 10 or 15 millimetres, but for the most part, I would not get your hopes up for rainfall there. I reckon it will be much more of a miss than it will be a hit for some of these locations. But yeah, all in all, for the southeast of Queensland especially, some good falls do look possible, and certainly something that I think some people will be getting excited for at this time. Rainfall has been good so far across the southeast of Queensland over the last couple of months, but I mean, by no measurement has it been great. So this rainfall will be really good. Certainly something that I'm quite excited to see, and I imagine something that quite a few people are also quite excited to see. Now, just before we give a tropical weather update as well, I would like to briefly touch on some rainfall that's going to extend across central and western parts of the nation this weekend. So from Friday, we're going to see a low pressure system bring a couple of showers to the southwestern corner of Western Australia out into the central wheat belt, and some showers are also possible for the Perth metro area. Just a few light showers. We do sometimes get a little bit of light shower activity sweeping down from the north, powered by low pressure systems across central parts of the state at this time of the year. It is going to be unseasonable though. It will keep temperatures pretty low as well for the remainder of the week, and things will be quite humid as well on Friday. And for the most part, this cloudy weather does look like it's going to stick around, unfortunately, for the Perth metro area. I mean, for God's sake, it's November. We should be seeing warm, sunny days at this time, not showery, miserable, cloudy weather. So it is certainly starting to get a little bit annoying in the Perth area at this time. The cloud does sometimes like to stick around at this time of the year. And then a few showers and storms Friday evening and then into Saturday morning for parts of the Euclid district and parts of the southeastern corner of the Wheatbelt, and a few showers Saturday evening which could turn into severe thunderstorms across central parts of South Australia. Sunday afternoon we will also see an outbreak of severe thunderstorms across central parts of SA and into the Northern Territory as well, up towards Ayers Rock and Alice Springs. We will keep a close eye on things up there. Some of these thunderstorms could get quite nasty at times. And just before we talk about those temperatures, a tropical weather update as well. Let's take a look at that. In terms of rainfall, it's still not looking flash, especially for far north Queensland. Typical for this time of the year, November is one of the dry months up into the far north of Queensland, but I mean the rainfall is just refusing to exist up there. The Daintree is expecting up towards 10 or 15 millimetres over the next 10 days. In fact, on the lower end of that, up towards 10 millimetres as a best case scenario, and the Cassowary Coast, I mean, is only expecting a couple of drops of rainfall, and 3 millimetres in 10 days in November. That's a drop in the ocean for far north Queensland. So the rainfall there is refusing to pipe up at this time, and the monsoon trough has no interest in doing so in the next 10 days, contrary to the forecast as well. So unfortunately, the rainfall is remaining quite miserable. However, one place where it's not being miserable is up into the top end of Western Australia and parts of the Northern Territory. Those thunderstorms are certainly keeping things wet up there, and some of the roads are really starting to feel it as well. We've had a couple of reports of roads becoming quite slushy up there, typical for this time of the year, but again, the rainfall really starting to pile on, and it is about to get quite inconvenient for some people across the top part of WA and into the Northern Territory. So just the heads up for those locations. In terms of a drought check as well, over the next 10 days, rainfall is actually starting to become quite a bit of a problem for parts of the Northern Territory and into Queensland. So we will really hope for some rainfall, especially into the later parts of November. But at this time, yeah, like I said, rainfall really is starting to become a bit problematic for some of those locations. And just to round up this tropics check as well, I did say that an area that I wanted to watch was over in this part of Queensland. You can see, however, in the Coral Sea, there's really nothing worth mentioning in terms of tropical cyclone spin-ups. It is still a little bit too early to see, but the GFS was suggesting something close to November 20th. I will just keep a close eye on things outside of these videos and what actually happens in regards to that system. But heads up, looks like Queensland's going to be in for a very stormy run from about Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday next week, according to the GFS. Certainly something I'm going to want to keep a close eye on. But yeah, tropical cyclone spin-ups, looks like we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for those as well, unfortunately, for those of you that are getting very excited for cyclone activity. And just to finish this video off, it's really starting to drag out now, and I am aware of that. Temperatures are going to be warm across parts of Queensland today. You can see out towards Windera, temperatures already up into the high 30s, 39 out there, nearly 40 degrees for some of these locations, and it's only going to continue to warm up throughout the course of today, with temperatures under this low pressure system extending down into New South Wales, up towards 42, 43 for some of these locations, Broken Hill up to 40, Lightning Ridge also expecting a top up towards 42, and temperatures up towards 45 degrees along the Queensland-New South Wales border, and then into the northeastern pockets of South Australia, temperatures up towards 46 degrees around Moomba, temperatures up towards 38 along the New South Wales and Victoria border. Mildura expecting a top of around 36 before a cool change cools things off later tonight. Melbourne also expecting a top into the 30s for the first time this summer, but once again a cool change should bring a bit of reprieve to the temperatures later on today. And apart from that, nothing standing out like a sore thumb in terms of temperatures. It's going to be warm across New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, the Northern Territory and parts of WA today, so make sure you are staying cool. And I just realised that I've mentioned about 90% of mainland Australia, so it is going to be a warm one, typical for this time of the year. But again, make sure you are staying cool, staying inside and wearing that sunscreen if you are venturing outside. And if you do live in Central Australia, as always, avoid the midday sun. It is going to be very, very warm across interior parts of Australia later on today. Make sure that AC works if you're in a car out there, because you do not want to have air conditioning faults today of all days when it's up towards 45 degrees. But yeah, that is all that I have time for today. Thank you so much for watching the video to this point. The support lately has been much appreciated. And once again, thank you so much for 21,000 subscribers. We just keep hitting milestones on this channel. So if you want to join along for the journey, then make sure you are subscribed. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. I could not run this show without them. And that is all from me today. And I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.